News at 5.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm Sophie Erber. 2 deaths have been confirmed now in the separate plane crashes from yesterday in Knox and Wayne counties. One of those pilots identified tonight. We have the latest details now in our top story at 5. According to the Nebraska State Patrol, the pilot in the Knox County crash was Joseph Rudloff of Norfolk. Rudloff was killed after the Monday morning crash about 4 miles southwest of Crofton. Shortly after, a second plane crashed northwest of Wayne. The FAA stated that one person died in that crash as well, adding that person was the only one aboard the plane. His identity has not yet been revealed, pending notification of family members. The plane in Knox County was destroyed in the crash, and the circumstances for the accident are unknown tonight. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating both crashes. Troopers used drones to survey the 2 crash sites as well. And today, FEMA announced that some changes in the hours and locations of disaster recovery centers in Siouxland are taking effect. The Dickinson County FEMA Center will close today at 6 o'clock and will reopen Tuesday, September 3rd. The Recovery Center in Woodbury County is closing their Simcoe facility today, also at 6 p.m., and relocating to the Morningside Lutheran Church parking lot at 700 South Martha Street with a mobile recovery center. That's set to open tomorrow at 10 in the morning. The hours for the mobile recovery center will be Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and will be closed every Sunday. And Labor Day weekend is coming up quickly, and many might be wanting to spend that last weekend of official summer in the great outdoors. South Sioux City's Scenic Park Campground is getting ready to meet that camping rush. However, due to the cresting of the Missouri River back in June, the park has been without 44 of their 135 campsites for the majority of the season. Despite having fewer sites, though, Scenic Park is still expecting a fully booked campground to close out the summer.
Being packed this weekend won't even be close to what we've had before, you know, when it's 44 sites are of course working. But we always prepare for these sites being occupied.
Scenic Park officials say their last camping weekend and season was affected by floods was back in 2019. And due to the Labor Day holiday, there will be changes for garbage pickup in Siouxland. On Monday, September 2nd, there will be no garbage, yard, waste, or recyclables collected in Sioux City. Pickup for those materials will be delayed by just 1 day for the remainder of the week. Residents are asked to place all garbage bins to be collected at the curb by 5 in the morning on their scheduled collection day. Trucks collecting mixed garbage and yard waste will only make one pass through neighborhoods, while recyclable materials will continue to be collected in a separate truck. We'll put all of that on our website in case you need a reminder. And we turn our attention back to the weather department. We have Chief Meteorologist Victor Perez. And Victor, you mentioned compared to this time yesterday, much less cloudy skies here in Siouxland and a little cooler too.
Yeah, definitely a little bit cooler. Most of the area 10 degrees cooler, but that's not even factoring the heat indices, because yesterday we were feeling like 110 here in Sioux City, and though today still feels warm at 90, it is a huge improvement of feeling 20 degrees cooler. But we are going to be keeping an eye on our days ahead, because though we don't see any severe storm potential today or tomorrow, looking ahead at Thursday, we're looking at another batch of potential severe weather in Siouxland as we see some more showers and storms coming our way for Thursday. But I'll be letting you know about a clear Labor Day weekend ahead. Sophie?
All right, thanks, Victor. If you're getting a bit tired of the recent heat and humidity, there's another source that you might be able to blame: this year's corn and soybean crops. It's through a process called evapotranspiration, or corn sweat. Moisture comes out of the plant leaves and can actually add moisture into the air based on its size. One expert says an acre of corn this late in the growing season can add 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of water per day to the atmosphere.
It is the plants reacting to that warmer weather, and so they also then need more moisture, and so they're uptaking more from the, again, stored underground water and bringing that up to the atmosphere that we're in. It does usually hit about this time of the year, in this August time frame.
This corn sweat phenomenon tends to reach its peak once corn stalks have reached their full size and then levels off after that. Whooping cough numbers are increasing and concerns are on the rise as cold and flu season is among us tonight. According to the CDC, the number of reported whooping cough cases doubled in June of this year compared to 2023 numbers. Whooping cough may seem like a regular cold at first, but it can turn dangerous for children. In the early stages of the illness, symptoms are basically cough and congestion, the same as the common cold, but things can quickly escalate from there.
So whooping cough can have cough, cold, congestion, things you'd think of for a normal cold, but then it's one that just doesn't go away. And that cough can get so severe that individuals will make a whoop or like a loud pitched sound at the end of their coughing spell.
The disease can also cause apnea in children, which is where they actually stop breathing for long periods of time. Doctors recommend getting your young kids vaccinated to protect them and also to protect at-risk individuals like other children and the elderly. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally has ranked in some big bucks for the Rushmore State this year. We're learning those numbers tonight. The South Dakota Department of Revenue tells us the tax collections from this year's motorcycle rally were nearly $1.4 million. That's about $47,000 less than last year, but this 2024 rally also had 17 fewer vendors than last year. Today in Sioux Falls, an unlikely animal was on the loose and in the middle of traffic. Our sister station in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, had its viewers sending in clips of an ostrich roaming the streets. You could see it there. Residents did attempt to move this flightless bird out of the road with some using a bag of feed to lure it out of the street. Officials say the ostriches were traveling through town to another state when they got loose, but the owner was able to capture this particular ostrich and safely get it back into the trailer. No one was hurt. KCAU 9 once again hosting Cause for Paws for our other four-legged friends. It's our annual push to support local shelter pets. All month long, you can drop off donations of pet supplies at the KCAU 9 studio or Velocity Clinical Research, our partner, or either Baumgart's location, Hamilton Boulevard, or the one here on Gordon Drive. Donations help those animals at Noah's Hope. And if you need ideas, they've given us a wish list, and we've provided that on our website, SiouxlandProud.com. A massive student loan relief program is one step closer to being finalized tonight. The Biden administration says it's just weeks away from potentially taking effect. We'll have those details on who might qualify coming up. But first, let's go back to Victor.
And folks, I'll be letting you know about warm Wednesday weather in the region, one more stormy day, and clearing weekend conditions, all with your 9 on 9 after the break.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and Chief Meteorologist Victor Perez. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
If you were with us a few moments ago, we talked about corn sweat. It's not just folklore here in Siouxland. It really does add moisture to the atmosphere that Victor's been telling us with the storms mixed in. We've already had high levels of moisture.
Yeah, yesterday we could even see it really taking hold. Some areas reaching heat indices up to 120 because of how humid conditions were. But thankfully, we've been a little bit cooler today, though we still feel the heat out there. Wayne looking very for Labor Day.
Yeah, and 70s and bright sun, honestly, is probably okay with a lot of people after the heat wave we've had.
I mean, it still felt plenty hot. You know, that sun felt pretty strong this morning when it was in the 70s here.
Exactly. All right. Thanks a lot, Victor. Well, another indictment tonight against former President Donald Trump, this one related to the January 6th incident at the Capitol. How this new case is an effort to comply with the Supreme Court's decisions on that matter coming up right here. But first, the Department of Education could be weeks away from finalizing a rule to forgive millions of Americans' student loan debt. That's next. The Biden administration is inching closer tonight to finalizing a massive student loan relief program, which is now weeks away from being finalized through a formal rulemaking process. KCAU 9's Washington correspondent Raquel Martin has our story.
A new attempt at student loan relief for tens of millions of borrowers could be around the corner.
We're close. We've been working on this process for more than a year now.
James Quall, the U.S. Education Department Undersecretary, says he expects the revamped student debt forgiveness program to be final this fall. The Supreme Court struck down the original attempt rolled out in 2022.
Our goal is to finish in October and to start bringing relief to as many students as possible as quickly as possible.
The Education Department has not spelled out the dollar amount individuals will be eligible to receive, but promises full or partial debt relief to borrowers who now owe more than what they took out thanks to runaway interest, or borrowers making payments for more than 2 decades.
We're working hard to reach as many people as possible.
According to the agency, no one will need to apply to the program. Those eligible will be automatically enrolled. But anyone uninterested has until the end of the month to opt out.
This is definitely a move to make sure that anyone who wanted to opt out could opt out and stop them from having standing to challenge the loan forgiveness.
Adam Kissel with the Conservative Heritage Foundation says he doubts the legal strategy will work. He says the program is illegal.
There is no clear authority for the department to suddenly find hundreds of billions of dollars worth of forgiveness authority.
Kissel expects swift legal challenges this fall. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump has been indicted again in his January 6th case. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a new indictment against Trump for his efforts to overturn the last presidential election. The new indictment keeps the same charges intact. However, it now removes a section that dealt with Trump's interactions with the Justice Department, where the Supreme Court said Trump was immune to prosecution. The new case represents a first effort by prosecutors to comply with the Supreme Court's opinion. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says senior Biden administration officials pressured Facebook to censor some COVID-19 content during the pandemic, and he vowed that the social media giant would push back if it faced such demands ever again. Zuckerberg sent a letter to Representative Jim Jordan, the Republican chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Zuckerberg alleges that the officials, including those from the White House, quote, repeatedly pressured, end quote, Facebook for months to take down certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire. In response, the White House said in a statement it was confronted with a deadly pandemic, and the administration was encouraging responsible actions to protect public health and safety. Today, Israel rescued a hostage from Hamas in Gaza, who is only one of 8 hostages held by the group to be rescued alive. That hostage was reunited with his family after 326 days in Hamas captivity and was found to be in stable medical condition, though officials cannot expand on the operation details. They can say that they are committed to bringing home the dozens of remaining hostages, including American citizens. This news comes as the U.S. is still trying to work toward a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, including the release of those remaining hostages. Imagine taking a very long walk from Boston all the way to New York City. That's a real mission tonight for a former flight attendant to honor those who died in the 9/11 attacks on our country. Their story next. A former flight attendant is pushing a plain beverage cart from Boston Logan Airport all the way to Ground Zero in New York City. That's in memory of the flight attendants who died on the flights of 9/11. Reporter Jeff Durdian has their touching story.
Imagine walking from Boston's Logan Airport to New York City, Ground Zero. Once you've thought about that, imagine pushing a beverage cart that weighs about 60 pounds the entire way. Well, you're about to meet someone who's doing just that. The air is hot and thick with each breath. With each step, the images, painful, never drift far from Paul Venito's mind.
I don't know what the words are, but I know there's something that's driving me.
Venito, 65 years old, a former flight attendant himself, on a personal journey of remembrance, making new friends along the roadways.
What's his name?
Blitzen.
Pushing on to New York City, 210 miles in all.
Because I'm not an athlete, trust me, I'm not.
We all remember the day, September 11th. Paul does too, and what he says, the first responders in the sky.
They were running through cabins sprayed with mace, relaying messages to each other. While one was on the phone, relaying messages to the ground. Pretty bad. It was pretty bad up there.
This is Paulie's 4th push with the cart, weighing nearly 60 pounds each trip to symbolize the 4 planes that tumbled toward the earth. By a stroke of luck, his seniority on a list kept him alive on 9/11. And so he does this, he says, so you'll remember his friends.
My legs are hurt, my back's hurt. I look at their pictures on the cart, and I have options. They didn't have options.
Along the way, escorts. He does this all for free. There's no catch. This isn't a side hustle. It's his life's work now. One man's journey, a ribbon of pavement, his guide, his companion.
There's no obstacle that's going to keep me from getting to ground zero. There isn't. I can't. There isn't a barrier that'll stop me. It was that I promised I'd never, ever make sure they were never forgotten.
Paulie says without question he will make it to the 9/11 memorial on 9/11. Also, if you'd like to track his progress, maybe support him in some way, he's a 501c3 nonprofit. Just go to pauliespush.com. You'll be able to track him every step of the way as he heads to New York City.
Incredible journey there. We wish him luck. We take a live look outside right now. Just some fair weather clouds there dotting the sky in Ottawa. Victor returns right after this with one final check on your forecast. Stay with us. Before we wrap up at 5, let's first check in with Tim for what's coming up at 6. Hi, Tim.
Hey, good Tuesday afternoon, Sophie. The AAA reporting that travel bookings headed into the Labor Day weekend up some 9% over a year ago. That's a pretty good indication that's going to be a busy holiday weekend. Not everyone will leave home, though, or travel to celebrate the last holiday of the summer season. Coming up at 6, a closer look at local Labor Day options, including some jam-packed campsites across Siouxland. What you folks can expect coming up tonight at 6. Also, right after World News Tonight, anyone who's been out shopping lately probably has noticed the Halloween decorations and themed items that are already on the shelves. Did you know there's actually a term for this? It is called Summerween. It's a little bit early. Last year, $12 billion was spent on the holiday of Halloween. We'll take a closer look at what folks can expect coming up. That's a lot of money, and it's still awful early for costumes and pumpkins, I think.
I would agree with Tim there, especially with the weather we're having. It does not feel like fall, but I have noticed a Summerween. Now there's a term for it. Things all over the store shelves.
Yeah, they're already getting out there, and I mean, we'll start to feel a little bit more like fall coming up on Labor Day, Sophie. We'll be seeing cooler conditions as we'll see low 60s overnight tonight. Tomorrow we're back in the 90s, but Labor Day going to be a cool one.
All right, thanks, Victor. We'll see you here at 6. Good night for now.